James Smith has served our country and our state for many years, and now he hopes to become the next governor of South Carolina. In this special edition of Quintin's Close-Ups, I speak exclusively with him one-on-one. And be sure to download the free Quintin's Close-Ups app in your Apple or Google Play stores.
Representative Smith, it's so good to see you.
Yeah, it's good to be with you, Quintin. Good morning.
I appreciate this.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Anytime.
Oh, glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Well, here we sit at the College of Charleston.
Yeah.
And I know last night you participated in a gubernatorial debate between you, Phil Noble, and obviously Marjorie Willis.
Sure.
This is the headline from the Post and Courier Online. South Carolina Democrats come out swinging in Charleston gubernatorial debate. When you look back at the debate, what still plays in your mind?
Well, the effort, and I believe successful on my behalf, to talk about actual issues that are facing our citizens every day and solutions for them. I felt like it was, obviously very clearly my opponents were attacking me. Instead, I'm running for governor to attack the problems facing the people of South Carolina and providing reasonable, sensible solutions that we can bring people behind and move our state forward.
What are those problems right now in your mind?
Well, the whole, certainly if you look at the past 20 plus years and the lack of investment in our people and places, we certainly, and I talk to many South Carolinians, are not where we should be when it comes to education, when it comes to health care, when it comes to our infrastructure. When you look at the conditions of our prisons, there's a lot that needs to be done. And one party total control of our state hasn't served our people very well. And so having the experience that I have and the service that has been the commitment of my life, I look forward to lifting up our schools in urban and rural areas, expanding Medicaid, providing health care to many citizens who don't have it today, making our state healthier, more prosperous, and actually getting to that place where I know the people of our state believe South Carolina should be.
You talk about infrastructure. Obviously, there's a big problem here in Charleston.
Yeah.
Wando Bridge.
Yeah.
If you were Governor Smith today, what would you do right now?
Well, I certainly would do what our governor hasn't been doing, which is leading on infrastructure. And I have done that in the General Assembly. I fought for a bipartisan bill that would actually make the $20 billion impact to actually make these investments. But what you have is 20 years of neglect, of a failure to make the investments that we need, which is why you're seeing these problems today. And so, first of all, we would prioritize those load-restricted bridges, those route-restricted areas because of the severe condition of those roads, and prioritize the funds to those needs. And clearly, that would help move commerce and people much faster and much more efficiently. And then I would look at, of course, making sure we're spending in our rural communities, because it's the only way to lift those communities up. You can't draw economic opportunities when there's not the infrastructure there for those opportunities. So I look to what my friend, dear friend, and thankful for his support in this race, Congressman Clyburn. He created the 10-20-30 plan in Congress. I would bring that same commitment to state government to make sure that we're providing the resources we need in rural parts of our state.
School safety. You said this last night. You said this, hey, you're going to be focused on making schools safer rather than focusing on attacking his fellow candidates, meaning the other candidates, Phil Noble and Willis. What should be the focus right now on school safety in your mind?
Well, there's a whole host of things that we could do better. We need to train our teachers to understand and identify the concerns where there's mental illness or a concern among a student, be able to identify that. I'm for establishing a hotline that makes sure that students can call anonymously when they have a concern, to share that if they hear something from a fellow classmate that gives them concern, that they can report that and know that action will be taken. I think there's a lot of physical security things we can do to improve the security of our schools, and there's much talk about how to do that, and I'm working with my colleagues. And then certainly when it comes to common sense gun safety reform, I have led on that issue every year of my service, working very closely with my friend, and also grateful for his endorsement, Marlon Kempson, closing the Charleston loophole, close the gun show loophole, ban bump stocks, restrict the sale of military-style weapons. And that's why Moms Demand Action has given me the seal of approval as a candidate. That's why Our Revolution SC, among many reasons, why Our Revolution has endorsed me in this race, and because I have the record that it makes it clear, it's not only what a candidate says, but the best indicator of what someone will do is to look at what they have done in the past. And I'm proud of my record on those issues, and I know I'm the next education governor for our state, not just because of what I say, but because of the history of my service, and because of the support I get from wonderful leaders like Dick Riley, who was the original education governor, and Jim Hodges, who was the next education governor. And I have an opponent who doesn't even believe that the governor has anything to do with education. Well, that's just could not be farther from the truth. And so I know as the next education governor of this state, I'm going to lead our public education into a new era of opportunity, of innovation, and focus on supporting our teachers and students in the classroom.
You know, I've interviewed all these other candidates over the past couple of months here for Quintin's Close-Ups,
Yeah.
and this is my first time interviewing you. Can you set the record straight about your record? What's right and what's wrong with what people are saying about you?
About what particular issue? I mean,
All the issues, from education on down to government.
well, sure. I mean, my record. That's the thing, right? I'm the only candidate in this race that actually has a record, right? And it's a record I'm very proud of. Certainly my record in education is one that is why SCEA and all the public education groups have endorsed me in every race I've ever had, because they know that I fight for public education. Made national news when I left training as I was preparing to leave for Afghanistan and came here and defeated an effort to bring private school vouchers and take public dollars from our public schools and deliver them to private schools, and I defeated that effort in a fairly historic event. So, my record's solid there, and which is why I continue to get strong support from public school advocates all across our state. In terms of healthcare, I've been the leading advocate on expanding and improving outcomes in healthcare across our state and expanding healthcare coverage, and I look forward to, as governor, with a stroke of my pen, covering over 150,000 South Carolinians that don't have coverage today. I see them, talk to them, and know that there are too many out there that when they get sick, there's no alternative. They don't have the resources to go see a doctor or physician, and that simply should not be the case in 2018 in South Carolina.
And let me stay right there with Medicaid expansion. You said this last night, quote, 2 million in South Carolina go without care, which is why with a stroke of my pen, I will expand Medicaid. You said, I believe, 155 or so thousand people who are without Medicaid here in South Carolina. Where are you emotionally with that?
Well, that's why I'm running, Quintin. That's what it's about. I mean, service is fundamentally, I believe leadership is service to others. It's my whole life has been about. Deploying to Afghanistan, leading soldiers in combat. You give everything you have, all your tomorrows for their today and their survival. And you know that you have that commitment from each other. That same type of commitment of willing to give everything that you have for the people that you serve is what I bring to this office and what I bring to where I serve now and the way I'll serve as governor. I know that there is so much at stake in this race. I know, number one, I can win this race. It's very clear to me the pathway forward. And winning is not winning for me as governor. It's winning for the people of our state. It means that people that don't have health care coverage today and can't go see a doctor when they're sick will have it when I'm governor. It means that kids on the corridor of shame, we're going to change that whole mindset to the corridor of innovation. We're going to deliver on new initiatives to make sure that there's project-based learning, that our kids have the opportunities that they deserve, because I know they can learn if given the tools and leadership to do so. It means we're going to connect them with the jobs that are here today. We need to align our education system to make sure that they understand that there's real hope, that there's opportunities in their communities for a well-paying job and something that they can move forward and live a high quality life on. And I know that doing that, we're going to be able to deliver on that commitment. So it means everything. It's why I'm running.
And then we get back to Columbia. Obviously, you guys just concluded the legislative session for this year. When you look back at that, what issues do you believe you could still do right now if you were still in the session?
Sure. Well, I think what clearly is left undone is protecting ratepayers.
Okay.
And I led the effort, built bipartisan support to eliminate the entire 18% that's on individuals' rates based upon the VC summer failure. I've also fought for 15 years to expand renewable energy in our state. And what we have under Act 236 wouldn't exist but for the efforts that we made years back So we've got the door cracked on renewable energy in the state, but the program that I have lifts the cap on that. It expands thousands of jobs, it delivers billions in new investment, and makes sure that our people have an opportunity at lower utility rates that make it easier for them to pay their bills and meet the basic needs of their daily lives, which is the kind of leadership we need.
How did we get here?
How did we get here?
Yes,
Well,
sir.
it's pretty apparent. It's pretty clear that when the Baseload Review Act was passed, and we clearly have far too much influence in the process by utilities. There's no question about it. They get exactly what they wanted. At that time, of course, I was fighting the Taliban in Afghanistan, but I have a long record of fighting for our people, which is why I have the support that I do. And what we're going to do to change that is basically make sure that we have a consumer advocate that everyone can identify, that knows they're going to be there fighting for them, and if they fail to do it, you know who's accountable. I'm going to have an energy office that's going to report directly to me, that we're going to carve our energy future for South Carolinians, not for what's best interest of a utility company, but what's in the best interest for us as a people. It's going to make us more competitive. It's going to drive rates down, and it's going to help people in their daily lives.
Let me turn to Mandy Powell's Norrell.
Sure.
Obviously, she's your running mate, and if she's elected, she will become the next Lieutenant Governor of South Carolina. Why her, why now?
Powerful, awesome young lady. A wonderful story of South Carolina opportunity and what happens. You know, the granddaughter of sharecroppers who for generations worked with lands in Lancaster County. The daughter of mill workers. When it came time, first in her family to go to college. When that opportunity presented itself, her mother became disabled. It looked like the cost of her education, her college education, was just simply out of reach and not able to happen, but she went to work, paid her way through college, excelled, got a scholarship to go to law school, and is a remarkably talented young lady who has the experience to move legislation. She knows how to bring Republicans and Democrats together to move our state forward. And so what I look for in a running mate and a lieutenant governor was someone who could be governor on day one herself. Someone who also, I knew the people of our state could be proud of, and who shared our values as South Carolinians, and who had the support of all walks of life, whites, blacks, working people, and she clearly, after an exhaustive search, was clearly the choice, my number one choice. And I was grateful that she is joining me in this race. And as Lieutenant Governor, she is going to be a partner in this campaign, a partner in transition, and a partner in governing.
You talk about governing. What will you do on day one, if you're governor?
Yeah, well, on day one, we're certainly going to take steps to expand Medicaid and begin delivering on that promise. We'll also turn to focusing on our schools, which have long been left without the attention they deserve by previous governors. And we're going to talk about what we're going to do to raise teacher pay and lower class sizes. I'm also going to expand on the things that have made a difference in the past. I was the author of First Steps to School Readiness, our first ever early childhood education initiative, and we were able to deliver that a few years back. And I'm going to expand those early care and education opportunities in rural parts of our state, so that single moms who struggle every day to go to work and meet the basic needs of their families will have a place they can send their children and ensure that at the earliest of ages they're getting a high quality education and that they're getting prepared for their futures. And so I'm going to make sure that that's available. And then I'm going to begin to fight on all the other things I know are fundamental to building and improving quality of life in rural and urban parts of our state. Is going to attract talent and keep talent here.
Ethics.
Sure.
Ethics. How would you describe the situation in one word?
Well, it is broken and needs fixing. But ethics ought to be on the agenda every year. And I'm very proud of my record on ethics. I've introduced and fought for some of the strongest ethics rules that have ever been passed before in the state. Myself, Bill, and fellow other members, Representative Stavronakis here,
Right.
several years back, we introduced the most comprehensive ethics plan that's ever been introduced before. Led the fight to expand and provide independent investigations of the House and Senate committees, and were successful in doing that. But our people, the people of South Carolina, have a right to expect an ethical government. And it ought to be right, and it ought to look right. And so when you see what's happened in recent months, you know that we need to change our disclosure requirements for lobbyists. So
Right.
the difference between what public relations is and what lobbying is, that line needs to be clearly drawn. And I know that working with the House and Senate, my experience there, we can do things like to eliminate dark money so that voters know who's trying to influence their vote. But these are things that you just don't pick up when there's been a crisis or when there's been an indictment. Ethics ought to be on the agenda every year, and it's been on my agenda every year in the service that I've done in the General Assembly.
Let me reset and talk about you.
Yeah.
Obviously, you have dedicated a lot of your time to our country, and we thank you for your service. And obviously, you spent 22 years in the South Carolina State House. But beyond politics and serving our community and our country, who is James Smith?
I'm like most South Carolinians, love my family and the time off I get to enjoy our state. We're on this beautiful coastline. I married, I married a wonderful girl from Charleston, Mount Pleasant, who has, made this part of our great state and a second home for us. And we always love coming back to Charleston and have much family here. But I enjoy spending time with my kids and being a father to them and watching them grow up. It's hard to believe my second son just graduated from the Citadel. And so, of course, has been a big part of our life over the past 4 years. But like most South Carolinians, it's about our family and about our friends. And we all have shared aspirations for them and want better opportunities for them. And so that's been the best part. Others, I'm a big fan of music. I was in a group called the Root Doctors for many years. Used to play Miskins down here in Music Farm.
Yeah.
And Cumberlands and played all along the beach.
Right.
So it's always good to come back and be a part of this community. But that's been a big part of my life. And actually, we did a show at the Poorhouse.
Yes.
Part of the campaign. It's been a lot of fun. So
That is so good to hear.
yeah.
Write the headline. James Smith will do what on June 12th?
On June 12th, well, I tell you what, after I will win the primary,
Okay.
but after that, I'm going to go visit my son and do some hiking and get on a different trail, get off the campaign trail. It won't be the Appalachian Trail, but it'll be another trail, and we're going to go spend some time with my family and catch up. But look, I don't take anything for granted.
Okay.
Make no assumptions about a thing. I've learned in my life in politics, my life in the military and combat. You prepare for everything. You work hard every day and humbly seek the support of the people of our state. It is their future that is in top of mind and why I'm doing this and why my wife and we all care about this. This campaign is not about James Smith or Manny Powers Norrell. It's about the people of our state and the opportunities that can happen if we're successful. The victory will be to the people of South Carolina.
Well, that's good to hear. To be continued.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You bet.
James Smith, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate this.
Thanks. Good to be with you, Quintin.
Likewise.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.